It feels like 1993. How many times have you all heard that phrase used throughout this postseason? Because let's be real, it has felt like that. I mean, I wouldn't know. I wasn't alive in 1993. I think I've said that at least 100 times throughout the spring into summer. Let's talk about how special this all is to see the Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final, to see them defeat the teams that they've beaten to this point, to see them prove everyone wrong, essentially. Let's talk about what makes this team so special. Is there anything else that I didn't mention that makes this particular version of the Canadiens special?
I think the closeness of this team, that they really do sort of feel like a family, and the guys that are in that leadership role, especially Corey Perry, Eric Stahl, have had such a great effect on the younger players like Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. And they want to do well and they want to have each other succeed. It's no individuals on this. There's no passengers on this bus ride. Everyone is together and they want to help each other out. And that's something that Ben Sherrod has mentioned too, that a guy like Cole Caulfield, who joined the team towards the end of the year in April when he was done his university career, they've already grown so close and they want to do well, and everyone's been able to buy in. And I think that's been a real special factor of this team, and maybe a difference maker as well, is that they're all leading and going in the same direction, and there's no egos, there's no distractions in the locker room. They have the one goal and everyone is on board to move forward and try and get to that Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and even when they were struggling, they always talked about, we've got a good group, we believe in each other. This always came to the surface, and I think chemistry obviously is a huge part of successful franchises. And for whatever reason, I think that these guys were just fed up with listening to a lot of the criticism that they were facing, and they found a way to pull together. And I'm really impressed is how much they are really wanting to pay the price to make the difference each and every game, each and every shift. And you've got guys jumping in front of pucks. You've got guys that are, doing everything they can possibly do to give themselves a chance to have success. And you got to give full marks to each and every guy in that dressing room, that they are on board, they are determined, and they are wanting to make the difference. And there's nothing better than being in a dressing room and finding that everyone that you look at down that dressing room wall is ready to go through anything to find a way to win. And right now they are focused and they are willing to do what they have to do to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I think you both hit the nail on the head. This is a really tight, united team, and they kept saying that during the season where things were going bad. I mean, players always say it's a good locker room, even if it's not a good locker room. What else are they going to say? But it turns out this really seems to be a good locker room. Ben Sherrod spoke about that the other day. He also spoke about how Shea Weber is the captain. He's like dad to the young guys, to the older guys. He has a relationship with everybody. I think that goes a long way. They really are a family. They're fighting for each other. And we go back to '93. I remember that Cup final very well. I remember that season very well. At the time, my wife was working as a bartender at Michael D's, which is a restaurant on Green Avenue in Westmount. And after the games, most of the players would go there for a post-game dinner. They had a little room set up upstairs by themselves. And afterwards, a few of the players would come down to the bar and have a few drinks. So I would go pick up my wife, and you'd see DiPietro or Muller. There'd always be Odeline. There'd be 3 or 4 guys sitting at the bar having a beer. And you could tell they were buddies. Like, if you didn't know they were with the Canadiens, you would have just thought it was a bunch of buddies out having a beer together. And I think the Canadiens have that same thing now. I think they get along. I think they're all friends. And, Rick would know from having been in the NHL team and locker room, I think that just goes a long way when guys get along, when they're buddies, when they hang out together after the games or before games, when their wives are friends or families are friends. And I think that's what's happened with this Canadian team. I think there's a really strong bond there. And as Sherrod said, I think, Shea Weber's at the top of that, just having a relationship with everybody, whether it's a 20-year-old Cole Caulfield or whether it's the 36-year-old Corey Perry. And I think that goes a long way, and we're seeing that in the playoffs on the ice.
I strongly believe the more winners you put in the dressing room, the better you're going to be, because everybody else is going to follow suit. And, if they don't, they stick out like a sore thumb. So you put the winners in the room. Any of those ones that are questionable, they're going to have to, find a way to follow the rest of the group. And that's critical in having a good, close, tight group that are, willing to do what it takes to win.
Corey Perry, Joel Edmondson, Tyler Toffoli, Jake Allen, who I know hasn't appeared in the playoffs yet, but he's also won a Stanley Cup. The fact that we've seen this collection of Stanley Cup winners on this team is nothing short of incredible. And the way, and you guys are right, the way that they've immersed themselves with some of the younger players has been pretty special to see, in particular Corey Perry, with how he's been with younger players and all that. He's just been a really good force, and that's a big reason why he should stay on this team into next year. There's something special about just the fact that this team has been able to basically turn a gear at the right possible time. We go back to that first round series, and just since then, yeah, there may have been some bumps here and there, but the way that they've played, the way that they've committed to just deploying all four lines and hemming their opposition in their own zones and taking advantage of other teams' mistakes and ultimately proving everyone wrong in the process, there's something really cool about how this is unfolding. Imagine if the Canadiens started off the year really good and the expectations were just driving upward and they were high and high and high. I think because of what this organization has gone through over the last few years, obviously there would be people who would be like, wow, this is still really cool. But there's something about if the expectations are raised versus when you have none at all and the ultimate surprise that comes with it, that makes it very exciting to go through. And I'll say this as someone just watching this team and who has kind of flip-flopped with some of the opinions I've had on this team. It is quite special to watch from a distance and see what this team has become to this point. And as far as I'm concerned, even if they don't win the Stanley Cup final, like I feel they're playing in this final for house money, essentially. Like I don't feel they have that much to lose. No one was going to put them in this final at the beginning of the year. No one was going to give them a chance against Tampa. Like what's the point? Like if the expectations were raised, maybe it's a different story. But the expectations have been sorry, I don't have the right word for it. They were lowered at the beginning of the playoffs, and look where they are now. So there is something special about the Canadiens embracing that underdog role, and it's gotten them to this point in the Stanley Cup final. It's just really special. Plus the fact that a lot of people my age have not seen anything like this, and seeing them out in the streets has been quite special to see. Like I mentioned
Julian,
before,
you just want to brag that you're young. That's all it is. It's an opportunity to brag about that.
I'm not that young. Like I'm 27's kind of up there in age.
You're young. I'm talking about 93 and going to the bar to pick up my wife and the Habs players being there, and you weren't even born.
You were young. You were a young man doing young man things. Like come on. Look, we're not old.
I'm happy for you and all the young Hab fans out there, because it really is. I think I've mentioned this show before. You know, my 5 years in high school, the Habs won 4 Stanley Cups, and it was an annual thing to go to the parade. So I'm really happy for young guys like you and young Canadiens fans out there who have never experienced something like that and getting to see what it's like.
I'm not old like Jack Todd. Anyway, no Jack Todd slander on this show. Anyway, visit hockeyinsideout.com to check out our full episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let us know in the comments section if you were alive in 1993, and let us know your Stanley Cup moments from the last time the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup.